Naram chaiva narottama Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayam mudirayed Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, The Birth of Lord Krishna. Text number 52. Devakya Shayane Nyasya Devakya Shayane Nyasya Vasudevo Atha Darikam Vasudevotha Darikam Pratimuchya Pador Loham Pratimuchya Pador Loham Aste Purvavat Avritaha Aste Purvavat Avritaha Devakya Shayane Nyasya Vasudevo Thadarikam Pratimuchya Pador Loham Aste Purvavad Avritaha Devakya Shayane Nyasya. Devakya of Devaki Shayane on the bed. Nyasya placing. Vasudevaha Vasudeva. Atha thus. Darikam the female child. Pratimuchya binding himself again. Padoha loham iron shackles on the two legs. Aste remained. Purvavat like before. Avritaha bound. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Vasudeva placed the female child on the bed of Devaki, bound his legs with the iron shackles, and thus remained there as before. Please repeat this translation after me. Vasudeva placed the female child on the bed of Devaki, bound his legs with the iron shackles, and thus remained there as before. Text 53, I'll read by myself. Yashodananda patni cha jatam param abudhyata natalingam parishranta nidraya pagata smritihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation of the 53rd verse. Exhausted by the labor of childbirth, Yashoda was overwhelmed with sleep and unable to understand what kind of child had been born to her. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva were intimate friends, and so were their wives Yashoda and Devaki. Although their names were different, they were practically non-different personalities. The only difference is that Devaki was able to understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had been born to her and had now changed into Krishna. Whereas Yashoda was not able to understand what kind of child had been born in her. Yashoda was such an advanced devotee that she never regarded Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but simply loved him as her own child. Devaki, however, knew from the very beginning that although Krishna was her son, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Vrindavan, no one regarded Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When something very wonderful happened because of Krishna's activities, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the cowherd men, the cowherd boys, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and the others were surprised. But they never considered their son Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes they suggested that some great demigod had appeared there as Krishna. In such an exalted status of devotional service, a devotee forgets the position of Krishna and intensely loves the Supreme Personality of Godhead without understanding his position. This is called Kevala Bhakti and is distinct from the stages of Jnana and Jnanamayi Bhakti. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 3rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Birth of Lord Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam yat kripatamaham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So today we have completed this chapter. We began some months back this third chapter entitled The Birth of Lord Krishna. Because of this birth pastime, Janma Leela, we celebrate Krishna Janmashtami. Now we celebrate because Krishna was born. But the events that actually happened, so many things happened before Krishna's birth, during the birth itself, and after Krishna's birth. So many things happened, so many events happened. So, since the Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, try to understand the transcendental nature of my birth and activities. Then you are liberated. Not only you are liberated, you come back to me. You come to me. You come to my abode. You live with me. You enjoy with me. You never again take birth in this miserable, temporary, material world. So mark this statement of Krishna in the Gita. Now, how do you understand what is the transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and activities? So Krishna himself has made an arrangement for us to understand that. In Bhagavad Gita, he explains philosophically, technically. But in the Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami very mercifully, Samsarinam karunaya aha purana guhyam. This is a statement of Suta Goswami in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. We come to the 10th canto. But in the first canto, Suta Goswami was going to narrate the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya who were very eager to hear about Krishna. So he describes the personality of Krishna as he has heard from Shukadev Goswami. Now Shukadev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. And Shukadev Goswami is describing Krishna to Parikshit Maharaj also. And Parikshit is sitting and hearing. Now, Parikshit is very closely following the description. He is very carefully hearing what all happened in terms of Krishna's, the circumstances leading to Krishna's birth or incarnation or appearance, and what all happened, and how Krishna took birth, and after he was born, what all happened. The entire 10th canto, 11th canto, 12th canto, everything is there. The details are there. So to understand this transcendental nature of Krishna's birth, activities, everything, Shukadev Goswami, who's the pure devotee of Krishna, he has come to this world in order to describe to us, to tell us, Samsarinam karunaya. Samsarinam means all of us who are bound up in this material world, samsara, in the cycle of repeated birth and death. Out of compassion for us who are suffering in this miserable temporary world, he spoke. Aha. Aha means he spoke. What did he spoke? What did he speak? Samsarinam karunaya aha purana guhyam. He spoke the most confidential, Guhya means confidential, Purana means this historical narration about Krishna, the Bhagavatam. So he has spoken the Bhagavatam and Vyasadeva has recorded it. And that recorded Bhagavatam is coming down in parampara from Vyasa to Madhvacharya to so many acharyas after Madhvacharya till Srila Prabhupada in the same parampara. Whatever Shukdev Goswami spoke, same thing Vyasadeva recorded, Shukavacha. Now what I am reading here, 2 verses I read today, these are words of Shukdev Goswami. He is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Vyasadeva is recording. Because it actually happened. So it is a historical narration. So something that actually happened, if you closely hear, it all happened, details. Just like here, Shukdev Goswami is giving so many details. So, just like in ordinary life, all of us have experience of watching. Earlier, we used to watch cinemas. People used to watch cinemas. Nowadays, not so much cinemas, or cinemas are there, but they are just about 2 hours or 3 hours. But there's something called serialized presentation of some long story, like Mahabharata, Ramayana. Serialized presentation. So every day or whatever frequency, little, the whole Mahabharata will be presented. And I remember the first time Mahabharata was released on the TV as a serial presentation. Some famous cinema director and cinema producer, they did that. Excellent work they did. Wonderful job they did. Those days we had only one channel, Doordarshan. That's all. And when I first saw, it was only black and white TV. In India, we didn't have color TV. But the time Mahabharata was broadcast, I think it was once a week. I can't remember. Once a week. The whole country practically, at least all the pious people, they will stop all their work and they will expectantly sit in front of the TV waiting for that serial to unfold. I used to hear my neighbors complain sometimes that वो महाभारत शुरू होता है, महाभारत ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅವಾಗ ಯಾರೋ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬರ್ಬಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. So much people were attached to watching that serial, and they would anxiously wait. What is the next thing that is going to happen? And during the week, there'll be so many discussions going on. The story so far, what all has happened. Try to picturize. Nowadays, that happens with other serials also, no? Now, not so much because the mobile phone and so much engagement with the mobile. Individually, everybody becomes engaged. But formerly, this mobile was not there. And even before the TV came, it was actually hearing or reading the actual Bhagavatam, the actual Ramayana, actual Mahabharata. Prabhupada mentions this. During his childhood days, he says that, there was no electricity. So evening, it becomes dark. When did electricity come in India? First time? I think it came to Mysore, if I'm not mistaken. The Maharaja of Mysore got that electric technology to generate electricity from waterfall. Shimsha, the first hydroelectric generator was placed. I don't know whether other generators were there before that. I have no idea. But around 100 years back, I know when I used to visit my grandfather in one of the villages near Tumkur, there till 1969, I was born in 1960. So till I was 9 years old, we used to visit my grandfather's village. There was no electricity. So what was their life? As soon as it becomes dark, they've already finished their dinner. All the important works are over. After that, what is their engagement? They will sit and hear somebody narrate some stories. And in pious families, generally the tradition was to narrate stories of Mahabharata or Ramayana or Bhagavatam. Or somebody will sing songs connected with these scriptures. And so many art forms. Gamaka type of singing. What is that? Bhava Gite. So many different types. Even narrations, recitations of poems, Kavya Vachana, like that. So Prabhupada says we all used to go to some little place away from his house after finishing dinner and sit and hear Ramayana, Mahabharata or Bhagavata recitation. So one person would recite and everybody would sit and hear. So the same thing in another format, the TV serial came. The same thing is available even in the mobile if you want to see. So the engagement of daily hearing Bhagavatam or Ramayana or Mahabharata, daily hearing about Krishna from the scriptures, authentic scriptures, historical narrations, Itihasa and Purana, Smruti Shastra. Simply by doing this and absorbing the mind in these stories. We have a tendency to absorb our mind in something interesting, some story. But if you, instead of simply absorbing your mind some ordinary material activities, material happenings, instead of that, if you become interested and absorbed in hearing about Krishna, your whole life is successful. Your life is successful. You don't have to do anything else. Nothing else is required for perfecting your life. So even now that opportunity is available. Like Prabhupada has written these books. So carefully he has written and translated. So Prabhupada would every day translate Bhagavatam. Every night, not day. He would not do it generally in the daytime. Daytime he had so many other works. So night he would get up in the middle of the night. Around 9:30 or 10 he will retire. And by 12 midnight he will get up. And he will start translating the Bhagavatam. Wherever he is in the world. And then from 12 to about 4 o'clock, 4 or 4:30, he will keep translating. So devotees, the secretary or the servant would always make all arrangements for Prabhupada to translate. And he'll go to sleep after 9:30, 10, after Prabhupada has taken rest and he has made all the arrangements for Prabhupada to get up and translate. Keep all the scriptures and everything on Prabhupada's desk or table or whatever. And then Prabhupada will get up and the servant will not, or secretary will not be disturbed. Very rarely Prabhupada wants something, he will call his servant, wake up his servant. Otherwise he will not. So next day, the servant will take that. Earlier it was Prabhupada's writing. Later on, Prabhupada was dictating into a dictaphone, one machine. Devotees purchased for him in America when the dictaphone came. And devotees would send that for transcription to some other devotee. The servant will send. So they will note on the dictaphone how much Prabhupada is translated and make a record. I'm sending this portion. Some days Prabhupada would not do as much as he would normally do. He would do less. Then devotee servant once asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, last night you didn't do as much as you normally do. So Prabhupada says, yes, I have to think how I will present this Bhagavatam for the easy understanding of everyone. So sometimes I spend time not exactly going on dictating the translation and the purport and the word for meaning, but I'll spend time how to present it in a easily understandable way. And at the same time, the Acharya, he not only presents an easily understandable way, but also makes it interesting for the audience. This Prabhupada says is called realization. We say sakshatkara in Kannada. English we say realization. What is this realization or sakshatkara? Prabhupada has fully understood, digested, and his life is living according to this Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, Vedanta, Sutra, everything. It has become his own life. Prabhupada's life is the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So that same thing Prabhupada wants to give us the opportunity. All of us should make our life the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the Shastra, the Puranas, Krishna Katha. So how can Prabhupada present that Bhagavatam? By translating it, explaining in simple words, which are not easy always to present. So many instances are there. And also explain in an interesting way, easily understandable and interesting way. So it's a very responsible task, Prabhupada says. We have been entrusted by my spiritual master. His spiritual master, once he spoke and once he wrote to Prabhupada. Only once he spoke and once he wrote. You explain the teachings of the Parampara as taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language. This is all he said. That Prabhupada understood. My Guru Maharaj is expecting me to present in English language All that is coming down in the parampara, the understanding, the explanation, the way to actually live our life according to the Bhagavatam, according to our Bhagavad Gita, and practically show it in his own life, explain it in the books, and instruct his disciples, immediate disciples, answer their questions, give a whole lifestyle for somebody who's dedicated or somebody who wants to follow as much as they can follow. What all they should do, what they should not do. And that's what the Vedas is all about. In the Vedic culture, these things were very, very simple and easy. Everybody followed that. What? The Vedas. So from the Vedas, they knew what is to be done, what is not to be done. Because that was the common practice in the household. Family life, public life, the life of a king, the life of a merchant, the life of a menial labor. Everybody used to follow. This is called Vedic culture. These two terms mean a lot. This method of eating, their method of sleeping, their method of recreation, their method of working, their method of earning money, their method of social interaction, everything according to the Vedic scriptures. But in course of time, in this present age called Kali Yuga, so many disruptions in this Vedic culture, in this Vedic style of living have come in. Due to increased material activities, due to so many contaminations coming in by materially ambitious people, demoniac natured people, so many changes have taken place in society. And people in general, the common people, they are losing this Vedic culture. So they don't know what is correct and what is wrong. They don't know what is the goal of life. They don't know how to eat in such a way that you can easily maintain your health properly and be satisfied with what you are eating, satisfy your senses, satisfy your mind. They don't know. They try so many things nowadays, especially health. Health is not at all guaranteed to be always good. Some small minor things, they keep bothering people more and more. This is called Kali Yuga, where we lost that Vedic culture. You just go back 2-3 generations. Your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparents, and you see their lifestyle. They never had frequently cold, cough, fever, back pain, leg pain. In fact, they never had any minor problems at all. And if at all by chance there is some little cold, there is home remedies, which even the most uneducated person knew because of the culture. Even Prabhupada says, in our country, it is different from the Western countries, India, in several ways. Because of the Vedic culture, Prabhupada says, even the most illiterate person, at least 50 years back, 100 years back, knew the goal of life is how to get out of this material existence. Everybody knew, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am trapped in this body because of my previous foolish activities, sinful activities. Now my business is how to get out of this body. Go to my spiritual home. Go back home, back to God. Everybody knew this. And if somebody gets some major disease or infection or some suffering they undergo, some scarcity they face, some misery, some natural calamity they have to undergo, nam purva karma, purvarjita karma. It is my past sinful reactions. I am getting the past sinful activities. I am getting the reactions. Everybody knew this. So somehow try to tolerate, somehow try to get some relief from that. And the whole society was geared up for that. Whole society was geared up for that. They would somehow tolerate, but they knew ultimately the money I have earned, the status I have, the material situations are not important at all. Simply because of this understanding, there was no envy. Merchants were rich, kings were very powerful, Brahmanas were very learned, but none of them were proud of their learning, their power, or their wealth. And what about the Shudras? They neither were learned, nor were they powerful, nor were they wealthy. They were satisfied in their own situation. That was true of everybody in the society. So no envy. Because nobody's goal in life is to become wealthy, is to become powerful, is to become learned. No, that is not the goal of life. Everybody's goal of life is only one. How to get out of this material body, material existence, and go back to the spiritual world. So no problem at all. With somebody being poor, somebody being wealthy, somebody being rich, somebody being powerful, not powerful, or even for that matter, due to karma, 4 things are actually limited. The bodily beauty, the education or learning, the wealth, Janma, Shruta, Shri, Aishwarya, and the family in which one is born. These 4 are limited by the past karma for everyone, including the Devatas, including Brahma himself. Everyone is regulated in these 4 things by their past karma. So everybody knew this. So no anxiety. If I am born in a poor family, no anxiety. Because my goal is not to enjoy. If I was born in a rich family, I could have enjoyed more comforts. If I was born with more bodily beauty, I could have, got a beautiful husband. For a girl or for a boy, I could have got a beautiful wife. Or if I was born as a king's son, I would have become powerful. Or if I was born as son of a Brahmana, I would have been very, very learned. Nobody's goal in life was any of these things, any of these material things. Neither they thought, I'm handicapped because I'm not learned. I'm not intelligent enough to understand the Vedas. Nobody bothered about it. So imagine the quality of life. Please try to understand. That quality of life Prabhupada is trying to give us now in the modern setting. What you have to do? Simply chant Hare Krishna. Associate with devotees. Hear Bhagavatam. Try to mold your life in such a way that you add to this chanting, hearing, etc. in your own situation, in your home, in your office, wherever you are. Sthane sthita. This is what Bhagavatam teaches. Shruti gatam. Whatever the scriptures are telling. Tanuvan manobhi. With your body, with your mind, and your words. These three things you act through, these three things you perform different kinds of activities. Simply dedicate them for hearing about, understanding, knowing Krishna. Become Krishna conscious. And what you have to do for that? Very simple things. Everybody has to eat something. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. You simply have to do everything as an offering to Krishna. How do we do it? Prabhupada has taught us. You're eating food. So cook food and offer it to Krishna and take prasadam. You have to do some work to maintain yourself. Do that work as offering to Krishna. So how do you spiritualize your activities? By dedicating those activities to Krishna, by giving at least a portion of the earnings from that activity to Krishna. Madarpanam, Krishna says, offer it to me. So how do you offer work to Krishna? Either you directly work for Krishna, or whatever other work you are doing, the result of that work you give to Krishna. All of you can follow this. If somebody is a student, obviously student is not working for earning money. Student is working for learning. So how to dedicate that learning activity in which there is no money to Krishna? So Krishna says, study the Bhagavad Gita in addition to studying something else for earning your livelihood. Study the Bhagavad Gita. Study the Bhagavatam. Study Krishna conscious literature. Apply your intelligence for that. Somebody's got a skill for doing carpentry. This happens in Jagannath Puri. Prabhupada explains. Formerly, Jagannath Puri was only having Jagannath deity, the temple, Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and his servants. Everyone in Jagannath Puri formerly was only a servant of Jagannath. So somebody is growing flowers, they're growing for Jagannath as well as for their livelihood. Somebody is cooking, they're cooking for Jagannath as well as that cooking they do for their livelihood. Somebody is expert in stitching cloths. So he will stitch for Jagannath and he'll also stitch for others and earn his livelihood. Like that, every activity in human society was both for the Lord and for their own upkeep, maintenance, etc. This was Jagannath Puri. Even in 1989, first time I went to Jagannath Puri, I heard from one Panda that he was telling about 50 years back, there was no post office, there was no police, 50 or 100 years back, no police station. Jagannath Puri was like a holy place, remote place. So who would stay in Jagannath Puri? Only Jagannath's servants, Jagannath's servitors. And then if anybody else comes, they come for visiting the holy place, for taking darshan, for taking prasadam, for doing some seva, etc. Later on, by this so-called urbanization, advancement of material advanced civilization, police station came, then police station, police people, then post office came, postal people. So many other people started staying in Jagannath Puri, not connected necessarily to Jagannath Seva. And that is what we find now in Jagannath Puri. So many people are there, they are not exactly serving Jagannath. So, like this, the whole culture was different. So, they didn't have anxiety for earning money, nor did they have any necessity to accumulate wealth, especially those who are engaged in directly serving the Lord. They actually depend on Krishna, and Krishna maintains them perfectly. They're fully satisfied. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Machchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam gathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So this Panda who was taking me around the first time I went, he was telling, formerly there were 1,000 cooks for Jagannath. He's talking of his childhood days. 1,000 cooks. Then there were about 800 tailors, some numbers, I don't remember the exact numbers, I'm just putting some figures like this. Hundreds. Some few things he told thousands, but most of them hundreds. Some 400 pot makers. You know, in Jagannath Puri, everything is cooked in a fresh earthen pot. Everything is stored in an earthen pot. Only earthen pots, nothing else. Formerly, of course, not now. And then somebody used to grow flowers. So many people growing flowers in different gardens. Somebody will rear cows and the milk will come to Jagannath, whatever is required for the temple. The rest of the milk, they will just sell that and they will maintain themselves. So those who grow flowers, they will grow flowers. Some portion will go to Jagannath, what is required for Jagannath. And balance they will sell and they'll maintain themselves. Everything was like that. So there no anxiety for their maintenance and everything was done primarily for Tat Kurushva Madarpanam. So Prabhupada says now the Krishna consciousness movement is propagating Krishna consciousness, Krishna's mission in this world. So a portion of your earning, you give it to Krishna. If you are earning. If you're not earning, you're growing some grains, give some portion of the grains to Krishna. If you're growing flowers, give some flowers to Krishna. If you're a student, you study Bhagavad Gita. Like this, you learn from the pure devotee and through the devotees who are dedicated for this mission of the pure devotee, through the devotees in this temple, you learn how every activity of yours can be dedicated to Krishna in a very simple way. Your life is successful, finished, over. This is the last birth for you in this material world. You're going back to Godhead just by doing this. So my point I started is that these details that are given, you try to follow these details very, very carefully. Discuss amongst yourselves stories so far, what has been happening. The details are given here. And then instead of absorbing your mind in some material story or material activity or material happening, you have to absorb your mind somewhere. You cannot be without absorption. You cannot live normally. So instead, transfer that absorption to Krishna, Krishna Katha. That's all that you have to do. Krishna eyes your life. You're successful. I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.